Today we test the myth, can you drive through a gate with a car like they do in the movies? Is it that easy? And we're gonna start with something small and work up.
They do it in the movies all the time.
And it seems super easy, so we thought, you know what, let's just test it. Could you bring in the talent, please? If they could stop eating their green M&Ms for just a second and grace us with their presence. Instead of just one test, we've got a series of tests. We're gonna test the latches, the gate frames, everything so that you know how to make the best chain link double drive gate you can possibly make. What do you think, Mom?
Pretty badass.
You might recognize these guys. This is Ricky Bobby.
Cal Norton Jr.
Thanks for gracing us with your presence, man. It's an honor to have you guys here. What is if you're not first, you're last?
That is my saying, yep.
We'll use something about baking and shaking.
Yep.
So let's start small. We'll put you guys on a lawnmower. When that doesn't work, we get a four-wheeler here. And then when that doesn't work, we've got things. All right, Cal, so what we got here is we've got a standard drop rod. This is just a typical drop rod. This is actually stronger than you're gonna see on most residential gates, and this frame is actually stronger, but what we've got is a double drive gate with a middle horizontal. Before you go rush into the comments to tell us how amazing we are, yeah, we did actually think about what side we're gonna hit this from, just in case it matters. I don't think it does, but we are gonna hit this from the outside, and the fabric side is usually considered the unsecure side, so this would be the inside of a yard. I don't think it matters. Thanks for letting us know down below anyhow. All right, Cal, you ready? Fire up those engines. We didn't make it through it. This drop rod is definitely the weak point, and that is because this is 16 gauge 1 3/8, which is what they all are. As soon as it opens just enough, obviously now this can open because we've changed the distance. One thing I will say is this thing was only in there maybe 14 inches or something. So the other thing is the higher this gate is off the ground, that the bigger distance there is between the bottom of this pipe and the stop. Obviously, the easier it's going to be to overcome that force, kink that pipe, and then just get it out of the tube. If you put a padlock through one of these, just understand that your hinges can spin, all these can spin, your drop rod can kink, and there are many ways to defeat this particular gate. Okay, next one.
All right, so this is not like the drop rod. It's called a strong arm latch. It has a receiver on the other leaf where that strong arm latch is going to fall into.
The other thing to note is that this typically comes with a bolt which you drill through here. We didn't bolt it, we just decided to weld it for our purposes. It was easier. But if you get one of these latches, it will come with a bolt that pierces all the way through the gate frame right there. This is just a good strong latch. It's super simple. If you set your gate too narrow or too wide, it gives you a little bit of flexibility. Come on, Ricky. I'd just soon not ruin my lawnmower today. Let's see what happens.
Feeling great. Ready to dominate this latch.
I don't even see any unbending of the metal right here. That's gonna take a lot of force to get through that. So the weak point is that it just bends these things back, and it's just unbending the steel from where it was formed. It gets just enough of a gap to be able to pull these things through there. So I suspect if there were tighter bends on this, that it wouldn't have pulled through. It would have taken more force to do that, but this is what they do when they design them. Now you know. So this, we're gonna show you real quickly, is what we call a field type center stop. Now these are okay for residential gates and really light duty applications, but they're super easy to defeat because they're not very deep. They don't allow a whole lot of depth. In fact, I've only got about 1 inch of depth there for that pipe to sit in. We're gonna go ahead and hit this with the lawnmower and show you just how easy these are to bust open. And then after that, we'll get to some chains. If you're gonna use one of those, maybe use something else as well. They're good to help keep your gate from swinging back and forth, but other than that, they're not really a great security feature. Let's chain this sucker up and see what happens. Ricky Bobby's gonna hang onto them handlebars like his life depends on it, because he can only hit this thing as hard as he thinks he can grab onto those handlebars. Wah, wah, wah. What do you think broke?
The padlock was pretty weak.
We have found the weakest link. This is the padlock. This is, you can see right here, it says hardened. The shank just left the chat, actually, is what we call that. We're gonna have to go next step here. So I'm actually gonna be fairly strategic about how I do this chain. I'm gonna put it close to the middle bar, and I'm gonna wrap it pretty tight so it doesn't have a whole lot of slack. And this is just normal chain. This is not special chain, just whatever chain they had at the hardware store, just like somebody would do. Because we believe in quality, we're gonna use stainless steel nuts. Spare no expense. Only the best for our viewers. We'll use a regular nut too, just to be safe. That's just in case the stainless steel one's not as good. All right, what I can tell you is he is not successfully getting through that. And he has absolutely shifted all of this fence in. It's all leaning, it's a mess. Were you surprised? I thought he might break the bolt. It's pulled all this stuff. You can see how this post has been bent and leaning. And what you're seeing here is because this post is driven, you're seeing more of a hollowed out. If this is concrete up here, it would have just been kinked already. So that's gonna be a big difference between a driven post and a concreted post. This one is still absolutely repairable and we could probably just straighten everything back up and go. The concrete one's probably gonna be kinked and you're gonna need to replace it all together and pull all that concrete out. Okay, is it time to reveal the secret weapon?
It's time.
I think generally it's time to go get the secret weapon. I thought, you know what we could do is we could take what we call the Travi Patty and we could repurpose it. It is now the General Lee. ...2010 Chevy Traverse that has been a sales vehicle for the last 285,000 miles of its life. We figured this would give us the horsepower we needed and the weight to test some myths we had about chain link gates. And that's why Nicholas named this the General Lee. Not the General Lee, the General Lee. Because it's generally the General Lee-ish. I feel like Ricky and Cal are trying to psych themselves up. They're doing some practice runs here for this last one. Like, they're a little nervous. They're a little scared, I think. That was kind of terrifying. That's a lot of damage. The bolt, the bolt is minty. That did a lot more than I thought it was gonna do. We were gonna do another test today. Pause, full stop. We need to regroup because this did not go as planned.
It was a little spicy.
This is what we wanted, just not what we expected, to be honest.
We thought the bolt was gonna break, right?
I did. I thought the bolt was gonna break, the pipe would break.
Did you expect the pipe to tear like it did?
No, this is freaking crazy, dude. Like I thought the pipe would tear right there. Like I chained it right there intentionally, but man, it freaking ripped it all the way back here. It ripped this one off, it ripped this one off, it ripped this off. This post was gonna be screwed either way. Concrete, no concrete, this post was jacked. I think one of the things that helped it though is all this chain link gave it like a shock absorption. Like it just kind of absorbed some of the impact. Like you can see it just be a sponge. And they actually have stuff like this for runaway trucks going down the ramps, and they'll have nets that catch them, and all it does is absorb all the impact. And that's basically what chain link does, is it stretches, as it deforms, it pulls all that stuff and absorbs energy. So I can tell you one of the dangerous things about this is if you were to hit this fence going the other way, because this top rail can go right through windshields. And I've seen it happen to where some guy fell asleep, hit the end of the fence, right dead at the end of the fence, and that top rail passed right by his head a couple inches, front window, back window, and right out the back window. It was wild. That's why we would never hit one of these this way without tension wire. Super, super dangerous. That top rail will just flat impale you. It's a whole nother day and we've done a whole bunch of upgrades and thought of even more stuff. But before we get into that, talent comes with prices and these guys got some bills to pay. So what do you have to say, Cal?
I have no clue what these things are, but if they're sponsoring me, they must be good. So some strings attached, period.
Maypax. Ricky Bobby, could you tell us about your sponsor today?
Swig Red. If you don't choose Swig Red, then f you.
And this is a perfect place to talk about our sponsor. Now, one of our fences is never finished unless it's got our sign on it, which is our seal of approval, and we trust that to nobody but JC Gurry. This is our old sign, and when we decided to franchise out, we needed to rebrand, and JC Gurry printed this beautiful new sign for us. And they do a lot more than just these signs. They do yard signs, they can do security signs, landscape signs, and our industry is one of the very few where we sign our work, and this is like a warranty for us. So it's a big deal, and we trust that to nobody but JC Gurry out of La Habra, California. We had to switch sign companies a few years ago. We had used another company, and we got some proofs back that were terrible. I'll put a picture right here where you can see what these look like, and you can see the very clear difference in the quality. And since then, we've been using only JC Gurry. Link down below. If you guys need great signs for your work, whether you're a carpenter or anything, signs is their deal, stickers are their deal. They're amazing. Mary and Mark are great people. Give JC Gurry a call. They're the best in the business. If you need a sign, they've got you covered. So last night, after doing what we did, we realized we had some safety concerns. So our little gremlins went to work and made some modifications to the car, which we're gonna show you now. Reveal the Kraken. The General Lee, AKA Travie Patty, has been maybe Mad Maxed. Did we Mad Max this?
We are the outlaws.
I was a little worried, so we added some reinforcements here. We got some blast screen here. I think we're good to go for today. We've put a lot of thought into this. We're gonna put that entire discussion and how we came about all this stuff over on Patreon with a whole bunch of other bonus content at the end of this episode. So if you've always wondered how this stuff happens and what happens between the scenes, that stuff lives on Patreon. It's not cut, but it's funny, and I think you'll enjoy it. Let's go crash into some stuff. So yesterday we talked about some of the different drop rod styles. Now, this drop rod here is a really heavy duty one. You can see how much thicker that is. This thing's easily 4 times as heavy as the other drop rods. This is actual Schedule 40 versus the 16 gauge that most drop rods are. If you've bent one in the past and you need a heavy duty one, we'll put these on our website. We can ship one of these out to you. Now, if you were gonna couple that with something like this is a heavy duty receiver. And it's either made to be concreted into the ground or driven into the ground, but you have a really defined cup. And then this is hollow, so you have some drainage in place for the ice and water to go. If you're looking for a better cup than the field style that just lets things pop right out, then this is the other option. We learned of this design from some commercial projects where they made us make these. We'll put a link down below for the heavy duty drop rods as well as heavy duty center stops. I'm going to latch this gate the normal way. I'm gonna get the General Lee out, and we're gonna just bump into this and see how well it does compared to the field stop. And then we'll move on to some real destruction. I believe she spun. Even if it hadn't spun and we were in concrete, this is exactly what we see over and over and over again when gates are hit. This thing's just bent. Exactly what I expect. Let's chain this sucker shut and really hit it. Nothing special. Okay, real quick, the 2 gates we have. This gate is basically a commercial 1 7/8 frame. I think these are 20 weight horizontals potentially and 40 weight verticals. I expect they'll break. The welds aren't as good as the one on the other gate, but on that gate, we have all the stuff. We have truss rods, we have all the stuff. This is as heavy as they get. It has all the welds, but I guarantee you that Adam here had the heat turned up because that's the way he welds, and that thing's ready to go. So now these are 6 5/8 posts, and they're driven into the ground about 5 feet. And we just pulled the giant rock out of the hole there so you know what's under here, but that's pit run and nasty stuff. Cade set all these posts exactly by himself, did not use any help to set these 2 posts by himself with the driver. And if you want to see how he did that, we'll drop that video on Patreon as well. But it's all that content behind the scenes that you don't see when we set up and how we do things that we'll start putting on Patreon so you guys can learn a little bit more about how this stuff goes on. And maybe there's tips and tricks we do every day that you've never seen before and we don't think to tell you. You'll see that stuff on Patreon. Safety first. Here's the thing I wonder. What would have happened if there was chain link fabric to make those things not fold in as much? But man, that bumper, Mad Max General Lee, putting in the work, man. What a team. We're gonna pull these out just for safety's sake, and they have flanges on them so that they couldn't spin. There was just so much force. But you can see that the ground was not the problem. It was fact that the post just could not withstand that kind of force, and this is exactly what we see in a failure. So this is why when we say it doesn't matter if you drive or if you concrete, just make sure whatever you do, you're doing it well. We can clearly see this was able to take that impact, and that was a lot of force. Okay, so what we've decided to do after a lot of discussion is we've arrived on this. This is old Whitey, the white dump truck. This is the General Lee. We have decided to tether these two together and beef up the front end of the dump truck so that we could then push the car through the gate. This is a slingshot. This is shake and bake. We're engaging. Cal Naughton Jr. is going to push shake and bake in for the win all the way through the gate. We're going to get up some speed down here. Start out by the flagpole, get up as much speed as we can. We're going to try and shove that thing through the gate. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because just like we saw there, I suspected that those posts might want to lean in. That gives us lots of distance between the driver and all the people that we care about. So if something folds in and it like came inside the doors or something like that, there's nobody inside the car. So we put a lot of thought into this, how we can do this safely. The slingshot was absolutely the move. So we're going to tether the steering wheel so hopefully it doesn't steer off, but if it does, if the dump truck breaks and we need to brake since there's nobody in the car, there'll be a tether here and it'll stop it so we can reset, because we only really get one good shot at this and we need to make sure we hit that gate pretty dang solid. This is cool enough that I can even get my wife out here to watch me today. This doesn't happen every day, but she kind of wants to see what's going on. Like, this is a big deal.
Big deal.
We even got Cripple here. We all want to see what's going to happen. So we had this laying in the pile over here. I don't know what we used the rest of it for, but it was a piece of scrap, and we decided to take the bumper off and give ourselves a little bit of cushion here. And then we've tried to mount this right as close as we can to the frame rail. I mean, like I say, I'm hoping we don't ruin too much stuff, but this is 100% SS40 pipe, and those are Schedule 46 and 5/8 posts. The weakest part on this is probably those hinges. So it's going to be violent. I hope we have a dump truck to use at the end of this.
Not sure of the importance, but we're gonna double nut it. Do not try this at home. We're what you call professionals.
We're just about ready. You guys ready?
You guys ready?
Absolutely.
All right, kid. Now, if this thing doesn't line up, make sure I stop. Let's do it. Go.
What'd you do to my windshield?
I'm sorry, dude. Dang, bro, my rig.
Oh my gosh. It was the hinges. It was absolutely the hinges, but look how strong that pipe was. We did tear it right there. But that's the difference in SS40 versus other pipe. That was a lot of damage. Dude, it yeeted the bumper off. See, that's why we did it that way too, is we did have our crash pit over here. You thought we didn't think about that? See, that's our little pit. That was our safety bumper and it went right to it. What do you think, Mom?
Pretty badass.
Okay, we're gonna clean up this mess. The chain, well, even though this isn't like a grade 70 chain or anything, just off the shelf chain, it actually held up really well. The bolts are perfect. That's a grade 5 bolt. Those stripped out, they actually pulled all the way through the hinges. Just pulled the nut right through the steel. Ripped this steel. This is flopping. Now you'll notice that this post is still 100% usable. We could use this post over again, it's perfectly straight. We pulled this off some job and the hinges were welded, so we actually drove the hinge into the ground when we set it up. You'll see that on Patreon. We could use this post again, and so we were in that deep, I want to say 4 feet. I bet if we would have put this post in another foot or two, we wouldn't have needed the concrete, but this is a prime example of we didn't have stout enough ground to hold up the post, but it wasn't going to matter because the gate failed anyhow. So these are the other 2 4-inch posts that we ran through, and you can see we had those posts in the ground probably about that deep. So this one I think was in there maybe 5 feet. And so that extra foot made a lot of difference. You can also see we had some spikes on there and that just keeps them from spinning. And those gates right there, they're gone. But that is a huge difference between the lighter or the medium duty gates and our heavy duty gates. You just don't break that pipe. Foreign hinges and all that foreign steel and stuff are just, they're just not meant to take that. But you can see where the weak point was. It was never the post, it was never the gates, it was always some other thing. So our driven posts work, our latches work, and if you really want to secure your gate, use a bolt. It's just not very convenient. Or give us a call for an electric gate. Those are pretty convenient. So I like to think we answered the age-old question, can you drive through a gate like they do in the movies? The answer is yeah, in most cases it's pretty easy. We did it with as little effort as a lawnmower in the very beginning. But if you're gonna run through some big stuff like this, it takes serious effort, and we do fencing where you are actually able to ram into it and not penetrate it. This is the type of stuff our company does all over the country for military contractors and people that really care about their security. So there's different levels of fencing. Just know which level you're buying when you get it. Just because they look the same size pipe, same everything, the security is completely different. A lot of the stuff is placebo, and it's a false sense of security because the people like us that put this stuff in know how to defeat it very easily, and most of you guys do as well. Our fence is a physical barrier to define our property and tell people to stay out of this, and that's basically where it stops. And then I think things like cameras are actually better at defeating intruders than fences. And if you're gonna do this, I don't think I'd go driving through a gate. It's actually quite scary. So don't try this. If it's chained shut, you don't know what you're getting into. We did not expect to break a windshield. We thought maybe we'd puncture a radiator, and instead we ripped off our whole bumper on that thing and shot glass everywhere. I still wouldn't do it probably. I still would just avoid it and leave it to the professionals. This has been a lot of fun. I hope to do more things like this in the future. Always check out Patreon, support our sponsors, JC Gurry, the people that make this business work great for us. And have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Thanksgiving from SWI, and a good dang day.